Just answered a question about what I think was the most amazing thing about in the universe, or about the universe, or something like that. And I said that for me, really, it was the existence of life was the most amazing thing about the universe, and in a very straightforward way, that is what I think. So, but then I thought, well, how does that actually link into a digital life, as it were? And can a digital life actually be at the same level as a life in the biological sense? Yeah, which I thought was an interesting thought. Or is there maybe a bit of a transition there, that we've got life in terms of the biological sense, and we've got non-life in terms of the organic, elemental part of the universe. But are we actually now developing a transitional form of life, which is a digital form? If you think of probably at least three key components of what constitutes something that is alive, in the sense of having a life, then basically, in my view, it needs to be self-sustaining, it needs to be self-replicating, and it needs to be self-directing. Those three things are essential. And if those three components exist in terms of a organism or whatever, then we could say it's alive. Yeah, so can that be the case with a digital life? Yeah, I don't know. At this point, probably not, but maybe in the future, maybe it's possible. Life, of course, is extremely pervasive and enduring in all its forms. It's probably one of the most amazing things of it, that everywhere on our planet anyway, there is life. No matter where you go and where you look, and a lot of people would comment on this, there is life. It is just amazingly pervasive. Some parts of it may come and go, and different forms of life might definitely come and go, but nevertheless, life as a thing does actually pervade the entire planet. Everywhere there is life, at all levels and in all ways. So definitely pervasive and enduring. Yeah, while there is some form of the necessities for life on this planet, it endures. And even if some forms again disappear, other forms come to replace them. So life is definitely pervasive and enduring, which interestingly are the two things that I would see a digital presence as needing to have. So certainly, if that can be achieved, that's great. And to achieve that, maybe you need to have the other elements in there. That's to achieve it in a real way. At the moment, it's achieved in a fairly artificial way, and that is achieved by almost outside intervention, by other people prompting and pushing, ensuring that it's actually in different places and so on, and maintaining it, and also ensuring it's enduring by, again, outside intervention. So in some ways there wouldn't be, I suspect, a true digital life until we can actually have those other three elements, and I'm not quite sure how one would achieve that, how one would make it self-sustaining. Perhaps we've almost got there in some ways through the basic computer viruses that are now out there. And if you consider them a computer virus in a similar way to what you would consider a real virus or a biological virus, there are actually some similarities in terms of pervasiveness and enduring, particularly an enduring one, because a virus, some people would say, isn't a real form of life because it, in a sense, really has to have a host to exist, and a few other things around that. And in some ways, a computer virus also has to have something to latch onto to exist. So there's a parallel there. I think that, yeah, if you look at the similarities between how a virus actually just hangs in there and is able to latch onto things, then biological and computer viruses, very similar. So maybe we have at least got our computer in a sense, digital almost life underway and being self-maintaining. Because once you've got a computer virus out there in the network and in the world, very, very hard to ever get rid of it totally. It just keeps popping up here, there and everywhere. And when you think you've zapped it here, then it'll pop up there, and so on. So maybe the next thing we move into from computer viruses is computer bacteria. And don't think we've actually achieved that yet, but that could be something to actually look at. But in terms of maintaining a virtual presence that's enduring in the idea of it being really alive, no, we're not there yet, but definitely something to think about, and yeah, something to really reflect on. So that was an interesting thought I had that came out of my answer to that question. Yeah, definitely an interesting thought, and I think that if we can one day get a digital presence of, say me, which is self-replicating, that is, it can actually keep itself going in terms of no matter what, it doesn't disappear, self-sustaining in terms of some sort of, it just keeps itself out there no matter what, and self-directing. Well, that's an interesting one. Directing somewhere that it actually can find other places where it should be or wants to be. Maybe it has really got a bit of a life of its own and begins to parallel a real life. Yeah, so that's interesting, and definitely one that I think could be pursued quite a lot more, in my thinking anyway, and hopefully the thinking of other people. Yeah, so definitely one to think about.